first technically real in-game, in-season practice and preparation today for Louisville, although we got started last week. This is a really good opportunity for us to play on a national stage. I think only game going on at that time. So very challenging with an offense that's, can do both. I think in the last 2 years, I think there's only 4 or 5 teams that average over 200 yards a game on the ground and throwing. They're one of them. So they present a lot of challenge there with a very good quarterback that can make a lot of plays with his arm and feet, and a very veteran offensive line. The other side, they're multiple in what they do. Give you protection issues, trying to figure out where everybody is. And so challenging opportunity for us. And still a lot of work to do this week. And we're trying to get our guys back health-wise. So today was a walkthrough versus a normal Monday practice because I thought we looked really tired in our mock game, which is kind of normal after that camp. So hopefully they'll be on the way back for an exciting matchup.
Raise your hand if you have a question. Yeah, you brought up the mock game. I was wondering if you could give us any kind of insights on what you saw there and what stood out.
Well, we won 69-0, so that would be cool if a real game went like that. We gave up 1 first down on defense. So I know that you would assume that's how they all are. It isn't necessarily always that way. We've struggled at times in mock games on one side of the ball before. So that was good to see. And it was pretty easy. So everything seemed good. Played a bunch of players. So really, I think it helped the substitutions for special teams, headsets, all that stuff as much as anything.
You kind of talked about it at the start, but just the weird schedule of playing on a Monday. Just what do you have to do to prepare your team, and how did you have to adjust a regular game week to prepare for this one?
Well, it's been unusual just because the mock game fell on strange days too, because we had to do it at night so we could get used to a night schedule. And we don't do morning classes, so it would have been too hard to do Monday night, which really would have been when it would have been, which today is actually Tuesday. So you can see how it gets confusing. So we basically played a game that's on Monday that normally are on Saturdays on Sunday. So we're a little bit out of whack that way. And so we just really talk in days of what it is. And so today was the first of 2 Mondays for us from a preparation standpoint, practice-wise. So I think it'll get easier as the week goes.
Lane, what kind of pressure does Malik Cunningham put on the defense?
Well, a lot, because he can throw the ball really well, but then takes off and runs. And very challenging to contain him. So there's a lot of challenges with that. That's why, in a perfect world, you want unathletic quarterbacks to play against. So when you cover people, they can't, bring another dimension. So
You talked a lot last year about the lack of a spring practice and the impact that had. How different was it this year with fundamentals, defense, and that sort of thing? How important are things like tackling, eyes against a quarterback like Cunningham?
Well, I think we're going to be better on defense. It feels like that. I'm kind of excited to finally get through a real game, to see where we're at really, because you never know. Some years you think you're better on one side than you end up being, or better as a team, or worse as a team. So it'll be exciting to go play a quality opponent with really good players and good coaching schemes to see where we're at.
You talk about feeling like you're going to be better on defense. Is there anything in particular that you've seen that kind of gives you that impression, or is it just you're being optimistic right now?
No, I think that we do, have some young players that, have a spring under their belt now. We have some transfers that either like Otis that barely played or a couple that didn't play at all. that would have played a year ago, so I'd have game experience. So I think we look better physically. Even the same guys look better physically after a whole year in our weight program.
Lane, Louisville had the top 20 pass defense last season. Just how important is it for you guys to get the running game established and kind of loosen them up?
Well, it always is with us. I think there's a little bit of misconception that we just throw the ball. We led the SEC in rushing last year. Now, a lot of this because we ran the ball way more than anyone else did in the SEC per game. So we're always committed to that. And when we don't do it in games, we get out of balance. So we need to do that.
You talked about Louisville being multiple. Are there things you can do to manipulate for the looks that you want to get? How do you manipulate?
Well, the hard thing is, they coach too, so they've had an off season to look at us. And the first game, is always challenging because you're not really sure what they're going to do. It's not like they just have 1 week, to do different things or to copy what other people did a year ago. So we just got to do our stuff really well and figure them out as the game goes.
So they run a 3-man front, much like Arkansas threw at us last year. I know Matt learned quite a bit from that experience, but are you expecting some of that Monday night?
Yeah, that's what they do, so I would think so. And if they play deep, we got to take what they give us and run the ball and take care of the ball at all times.
Coach, after camp, how do you feel about depth? I know that's always a concern going into the season.
I feel a little bit better than we were at the start. With some young guys playing and some veterans getting better. So, we'll see when it's a real game. Obviously the mock game personnel wasn't real tough on us. So, I'm excited to get to the game, hopefully play really well, but also see our players play against someone else.
You've talked about the battle between Kincaid and Luke Altmaier. Obviously, you guys brought in Tyrell Pigrome. I'm just curious what he kind of brings to the table and what you're kind of expecting from him.
Well, we'd like to have depth and competition all the time, so we're always looking. It's kind of turned into the NFL, with transfers and things. So he did a good job and caused people problems at Western, and so. To be able to add him was good, and that competition with the other two guys is still going. Luke's been limited still, so we'll see.
With Jerry on, I know you've coached a lot of different styles of running back over your career. Is there somebody he reminds you of? I know we asked you this a bunch with Elijah last year, but in the way you plan to use Jerry on, are there past guys that come to mind?
Probably Kenyon Drake, from a speed standpoint. I think Kenyon was a little bit bigger, but they would be the most similar as far as being able to do receiver things.